Alright, so I was at the store. I got these, I think they're called timber ties. What I want to do is I'm going to drill through this first layer here and have the screw set about here so that way I can fill the hole with wood putty. So this will stick through so all the threads will be into the horizontal brace. I'm also going to glue it in. I'll be putting those in about roughly every 16 inches. There needs to be a gap up here for the ventilation fan that I have to account for. But the main goal of this is to get everything tied together and get the whole thing square. Once I do that, I want to go through and cut all the pieces for the insulation. I'm going to put the roof, the inner roof in, and get the insulation cut from it so I can install it from the top. There's nothing to it but to do it. Let's get cutting. Alright, one thing when you're gluing this all together you want to make sure is super critical is that it stays square. I measured from this corner to that corner to this corner. You want to make sure those measurements are as close as you can get them. This line right here is to pull the whole thing this way a little bit because it was a little off square. So everywhere you can, just check to make sure everything is going together square. Alright, so this back also needs to be pulled over a little bit. I got the top one in there, the top 2x4 for the hurricane hinge. But this back one needs to be, the top corner up here needs to be pulled down about a ½ inch or so. I want to show you what knot I'm using to do that. It's pretty neat. I actually just learned it not too long ago. Pretty much what you do is you tie just a loop on one end and hook it to your lower corner. And you come up about 75% up the way up the rope. And then you tie another loop in it. Once you have that loop in it, you go up, you loop it around your other screw, and you come back and you put your rope back through it. Then you do it one more time. This is called a trucker's hitch, I guess. Then when you pull it, it cinches down, but it holds tight. So if you pull it, it holds tight, and you can just kind of slowly work it. And then what I'm going to do is just keep pulling it until I get the two horizontal numbers to be the same. Make sure you're measuring out from the same point. And go just a hair more. Not a lot at all. And you keep checking. 53 5/8. So that'll hold it square while the glue dries. Alright, so I have marked where I want to put everything. I have this front piece in. I've measured over 8 inches, and I've put my first other stud. Then I've measured from there 14 inches over, because that's how big the fan is, the ventilation fan. So you might want to adjust that depending on your ventilation fan size. But 9 times out of 10, it's going to be 14 inches. So that's going to go here centered. I wanted to center it over the door, so that's how I came up with the 8 inches and stuff. I wanted to keep it more towards my head when I'm sleeping. A, because it will keep me cooler, and B, I have a solar panel that's going to go on this side, and I wanted extra room for if I decide to put 2 panels. About 3 foot of space I can do with what I want. It will let me, you know, have the panel not crammed up against the ventilation fan and stuff. And then I went ahead and put So there's already this here. I want to figure something out here to make this like get a piece that makes it flat here. But I measured over 18 inches and put this here, kind of centered it between these 2 points. So that way it has something here. I mean, I'm gonna put 3/4 inch plywood on top of it, so it doesn't need to be too crazily spaced, and I'm not gonna be jumping on top of it. I would like to be able to walk on top of it, but I think that will be plenty. Then I can start working on the angled pieces for in here, and what I'll probably finish off the night doing is cutting insulation. So that's gonna suck, but we're gonna keep on keeping at it. So here we go. Here's probably a montage of me building the rest of this out. Take some time to fix this little boo-boo I had in the last episode. Roll a clip. Well, it's not a rectangle hole that this window goes in. So, yeah, the hole is actually not square. So, in order to fix that, I'm not gonna, like, you know, cut the curve or anything. I just made these little triangles. They're like 1.5 inches by 1.5 inches, or no, 1 3/4 inches. But it's enough. I've tested that it will cover all of the window will cover all of it. I'm only going to do the outside since I'm fiberglassing this whole thing anyway. Really, it's just going to be a little bit of support here. So it's just going to be to hold the fiberglass while it sets up. So it doesn't have to be pretty. I'll sand it down. But this will kind of help it in the meantime. And I'm about to call it quits for tonight. Alright, so instead of clamping that in, I'm just going to shoot a brad nail in it to hold it. It doesn't have to be very strong. Not perfect. It'll be fiberglassed over. You'll never see it. But for now, that's fixed. Rumor has it that days later he is still trying to get that piece of plywood to fit in because he is too hard-headed to pull it out and cut it. But these are the files found days later on his camera after recovering it and charging it. Alright, so the insulation is in on the inside, except for here. I haven't finished this spot. Insulation's in. The front piece is attached. The upper piece is just screwed on in case I need to put the wiring through there, or not sure what I'm gonna need yet, so it's just held on by 2 screws. I got the insulation on the top installed, and I have the vent just sitting in there. It's not installed. That'll be in the electrical video. But I have all the insulation. As you can tell, I kind of pieced some parts together so I don't have to cut a whole nother sheet, which I'll eventually need to cut, but what's that? I didn't know that was there. Anyway. I cut some pieces of metal for the trim because in the next video, we're gonna start working on the galley door. Thanks for watching.